Amazing. I feel like our listeners don't really need an introduction to you. They've already seen your face on the podcast. I think you're one of the first couple of people that we've ever had return onto our podcast. So thank you so much for your time. I think we just had, I called him Hunter. Oh my God. I think we just had Mason on the show. We just recorded his second episode. And so you're, I think, our second returning guest. So, and the whole entire Ginny and Georgia cast and crew, so many of you guys have been so generous with your time and speaking to us. You guys, I feel like we just love you guys, and we're so excited to have you back on. Obviously, congratulations on season 2. I'm sure lots of congratulations have been thrown your way in the past couple weeks, but just to reiterate, I don't know where to start with season 2, just because I feel like there was a lot of anticipation, of course. What was the vibe going into filming season 2, just because of you guys hit it so far out of the park the first time, for first season. So what were the vibes going into season 2?
I think it was a lot of there's a lot of nerves and a lot of jitters, at least for me, I know, because we had filmed season 1 2019, and so there's a huge gap between when we were filming season 2, and then also because it aired during the pandemic, we never really got to have a dinner to celebrate or really hang out with each other until we started filming season 2. And so I think it was a lot of pent up oh my gosh, I can't believe we're doing a season 2. B, can't believe it's been so long, because everyone it's, you know what I mean? You grow in spades. And so I think coming back, we were all nervous to see what it was going to be like. And, is it going to hold up to season 1 was a huge pressure, while we were filming season 2. Cause we want to do right by the writing that we have, but also we want to do right by the fans and make sure that we're giving them kind of what they want. And I think that it was so exciting to film season 2 and to know that we were all there again to kind of be there for each other, get the job done, and then to see everybody respond so positively to second season was also just such a huge relief, because part of you is I don't know, will they like it, won't they like it, you never know, you see the things that go viral on TikTok, you're how, why, when, who, what, where. So I think it was one of those things where we put a lot of faith and a lot of trust into our fans, and also just the process, and it paid off. So it's been really exciting, overwhelmingly amazing, for sure.
That's amazing to hear. And I know that as an audience member, sometimes shows do go through a bit of a sophomore season slump, where second season, you never know. But as an audience member, and as someone and Melina and I can definitely attest to the fact that you guys truly, I think you guys just expanded so much on everything that happened season 1. You guys really grew in a really positive and a very just really impressive way, the way that you guys were able to just build on top of the character building from season 1, because everyone was oh my God, where is this gonna go? This could go so many different ways. And I really think that you guys took the opportunity. You guys said, we have another shot of continuing the story. Let's make the most of it and really do right by the audience, by the characters. And I really commend you guys on being able to do that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Let's talk more specifically about your character before we get into anything else. And just the arc that, coming back into season 2. What kind of conversations did you guys have behind the scenes about, where, you saw Nora's character going in season 2?
Oh, there's so many conversations. I think the biggest one was, how does she fit into the Mang friend group, and kind of what's her place in this group that's now kind of going through a breakup, but then kind of getting back to you know what I mean? So it was kind of through the ebbs and flows of everything from season 1 into season 2, where does she stand? And so I think for me the biggest thing was I really wanted Nora to have a big strong backbone, but then when you work through a season, you also have to remember you have to follow the arc of the season. So you going in every day, you're wow, she's gonna have her moment now, and when you think of it in a grand scheme way, that might not be the best way for things to go and to go about, you know what I mean? So I think it was really nice to see Nora kind of have her like loyalty cracked a little bit when Max was like, well, you're not being a good friend. And she's like, what do you mean I'm not being a good friend? Like, that's all I've really wanted to be, and that's all I've been trying to be for you, is like, I've been trying to keep the group together, I've been trying to keep like you happy and like, you know, support you through everything you're going through, even though you don't really seem to have like a leg to stand on with your like issues. So it was really nice, and it felt very gratifying once we had that scene with like Tony and Katie and I, and like Max watches and it's like, ugh, she's being so dramatic, because I feel like, you know, that was kind of the moment that Norah needed to have to really like reassert herself as her own individual in the group dynamic. So it was wonderful to kind of see that growth and to know that, like, you know, from that moment on, yes, her priority is her friends, but now it's through the perspective of like, I can still have my own say and I don't have to agree with you just to keep our friendship alive. And like a true friend will like be friends with you even if they don't 100% agree with you or call you out on like you kind of being a dick.
For sure. And I love that because, and one of the things that I really admire about the show is that, yes, crazy, dramatic, outlandish things happen. There's murder involved and whatever. But at the end of the day, it really is about like these really complicated and really relatable relationships where like I've definitely been in that scenario before in terms of like friends and loyalty, especially within a friend group, like and how that plays out when there's conflict within a friend group. How do we resolve that? Which sides do we take, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like you navigated that really, really well.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it's nice to, you know, be part of like a female group and like showcase that kind of dynamic, because I feel like it's really not done enough, or if it is, it's always about like two people like coming to a head and like being like fighting and like never resolving, and now they're arch nemesis for like the rest of the show. So it's really nice to see them like work through things.
For sure. Yeah, and obviously it plays really well to the theme of the overall show, which is female relationships and friendships. And I just love that that's the foundation of this, because I mean, I think it really like I think that's like something that we all crave as like women, and in media we don't you're right, we don't get to see that nearly enough. So I just love that you guys really pulled through with that.
Thanks.
So Mang isn't the only relationship that Norah has. There's also our favorite unproblematic couple who later in the season goes through a little, not hiccup, but Jordan's not really good at gift giving.
No.
And we never see Norah's reaction to the gift after choking. So what do you think was Norah's reaction to choking up the ring?
I have like been thinking about this for the past like year, basically, because I'm like, what is her reaction to that? Because A, it's like the best gift ever, but B, it was like fully Jordanized or whatever because he put it in the freaking milkshake. So like part of me is like, oh, I feel like she was so happy about it because, you know, it's an emerald, which also is my birthstone. And I think that she like appreciated the gesture. But honestly, I think because the follow through was so chaotic, I honestly don't even think she appreciated it that much. Like, I think it was really like, you're so dumb, I almost died, how dare you? And then it's like, this is exactly like everything I've been saying. This still isn't a good gift because you almost made me die. And then you have him like telling his friends because they're like, well, how did it go? And I think her just like anger of all of this and the chaos of all of it, I think it's clouded her. So I think as much as she loves him, I think this gift was still a fluke because I think that it didn't go through the way that she wanted it to. High expectations. Expectations are here. The bar
Trouble
is
in
not
paradise.
Another thing that I wanted to ask you, Chelsea. Obviously, season 1 had a lot of singing, a lot of music. Season 2 also, lots of singing, lots of music. We know that you have a musical theater background. When are we going to see Norah get up on stage? When are we going to see her at an open mic?
Call out the writers. Bring it to their attention. Let's do it.
Yes, I would love to see that.
I would love. I just think it's so funny because with both Degrassi and G&G, I like not missed the opportunities, but like Degrassi did like a musical episode, like I think a season or maybe 2 seasons before I got on, and then G&G had their musical, but it was very much like there's a storyline arc to it, so it didn't make sense for my character to be in it. But I'm like, how is it that I've been in 2 shows that like have done this, but like I've just missed it, and I'm like, it's driving me bonkers because I'm
passing
like,
ships in the night.
I have to do this. I was like I feel like so like bamboozled because I'm like, I can do this. Like I can do this. So we'll say it into the ether. Hopefully,
Yes, we're gonna manifest this
Please.
in the future.
Sarah,
We're
take notes.
Yes,
Sarah, take
please. All of that. Well, I hope it's okay if we take it away from Ginny and Georgia a little bit to talk a little bit about your show Ezra, which I know for people listening behind the scenes, we've been trying for a while. We tried to set up an interview prior to Ginny and Georgia to talk about Ezra because we really wanted to support you and your show, but just our schedules never aligned. But now that we're sitting here, I would love to talk to you about it because for those of you who don't know, not only were you starring in it, but you also wrote on it, you produced it, you direct. Girl boss. I love to see it. Obviously love to see women behind the scenes. I think that Ginny and Georgia is a really great testament to like just the amazing like things that we can get out of like putting women in charge like when it comes to like film and TV. But like can you sort of, I guess we could start at the beginning. Can you tell us just like the origin story of the show, how you got involved, like where it all began? And then I want to hear lots about just that whole endeavor because I have so many questions. I would just love to know everything. Spill all the beans.
Yes, of course. It was actually such a serendipitous like occasion. I had known Luke, but obviously like, you know, with pandemic, with life, like you kind of lose touch with certain people, and we had like randomly run into each other and we were like, oh hey, like we should catch up. And so as we're catching up, he's like telling me about this project that he wants to do, and he was telling me about this character Gwen, who's supposed to be like the best friend, Filipino Canadian, and I was like, oh my god, like whatever you need, like please, like I would love to be part of this. This is just like I just really want to see this character done well, and I really, you know, would hate to like lose out on an opportunity to help that happen. And so we just started like brainstorming together, we started writing together, and then we got a writing room, so it was like 4 of us would write together like once a week for like hours at a time, kind of develop the story. And it was so wonderful because I felt so supported in representing Gwen within this group, even from the very beginning. Like there were certain things that I was like, I would really love for like us to sprinkle in Tagalog. I think that would be really wonderful if we could do that. And they're like, yep, of course, whatever you want. And so like that was like the easiest battle I've ever fought. And then just like things about her character, like she's supposed to be an anthro student, and I was like, oh my god, I went to school for anthro. This is gonna work so perfectly. But I was allowed to have like creative liberties with her character, and like the monologues that I wrote for her, I just like felt so tied to like what I was saying, because it's things that I wish had a platform already that I really wanted people to know. So I remember when we were filming the scene with like, I'm also totally getting off track. I know you were like, let's
no. I want to get into the specifics of your experience with it, and the things that you connected with now. So please continue.
Thank you. It was just crazy. Like we were filming a scene where it's a scene where they're outside having like a nighttime picnic, and Gwen's talking about like her studies and talking about like learning about like Filipino folklore, and like it's like ties to like her, and like what does that mean for her, and like what does that mean with its relationship to colonization. And it was just, I don't know, like I feel like some people like try to like stay away from like big words like, you know, like colonization or like male gaze.
Yeah, use
like,
euphemisms.
Everything that every woman thinks about all the time. And so it was really nice because I felt like I could just have this conversation and put it in a script, and no one was going to be like, that's too much. Like, no, we can't do that. Like, let's like dumb it down a little. Let's like make this more accessible. It just felt very true to, you know, Gwen's experience, my experience, Daniela's experience. And when we were doing the scene, there was a moment, and like we were doing a few takes, and I pulled like Daniela aside, and I was like, what does this monologue mean to you? And she's like, oh, well, I think Gwen. And I was like, no, like, let's like remove Gwen. Let's like just talk like you, like us together. Like, when you read this, like, what does that mean to you? Like, this is an opportunity that we both have to kind of share our experience, and it's not one that comes very often. So you talking about this, how does that make you feel? And like, what does it pull out of you? And she was like, okay, I think I got it. And we went back, we did the scene, everybody had chills. It's the take that we used. And it was just so nice to be able to connect with her, not only on like an actor basis, on like a like personal basis, but also from like a shared lived experience basis, and to really see how, you know, if I had this experience, if she has this experience, there has to be at least one other person in the world that also has this experience, and they'll resonate with that. So it was just moments like that that made, like, you know, all the long days, all the long nights so worth it, because I felt like, you know, I could really share a story that I've been meaning to share for a while.
Was it daunting to do that as well, though? I mean, I know that I obviously can't speak for anyone else, but I could imagine that, like, there is for when it comes to like diverse stories, or just like representing like stories of people in color in general, I feel like there's this pressure to quote unquote get it right, though I feel like as a consumer, and both as a woman of color and as a creative myself, I feel like there's not any one way to get it right. And so I feel like there is, I would imagine, a level of pressure to sort of do right by the story and do it justice. Like, what was there any sort of like fear in that regard, even with the support that you had?
Oh, imposter syndrome is so real. 100%. Yeah, every single day, every single hour. I know we were having trouble finding Gwen, and like there was a moment where we were like, do we have to expand our like range of actors that we're looking at to play this role? And I was like, no, please. Like, can we not? Because it would just change the like whole character. And I think it's always just so daunting, because not only is it like imposter syndrome, but like, you know, from what you consume from day to day, you also sometimes don't feel like your story is worth being shared, because you're like, well, you know, the like big seller stories don't have anything to do with my story. So as much as I want to create it, is it going to be worth the like hardships? Is it going to be worth the like tears, the late nights, blah, 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 blah. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, 100%. Imposter syndrome sucks, but like don't ever listen to it. And yeah, I just think that it was just so wonderful to have the support, but then also because it was my first time, I think I didn't have as much, you know, stressful doubt, because I was like, well, I've never done this before, so I don't actually know what to expect. And that kind of helped, to be honest. And it really felt that I was just like writing a story with friends. So there was no criteria that we had to kind of stick to. And I think that was also a huge like stress reliever. So like with projects that I want to write now, I'm really trying to just, you know, write whatever it is I'm feeling, and not think about like, oh, like, what are like trends that people are watching right now, or like what is a story that people care about, like is this story not worth telling because it's been told before? Or, like, you know, there's a million ways to stop yourself from doing something. And I think that the biggest thing is really to just, as hard as it is, keep fighting yourself with that, and to just keep going, because at the end of the day, if you finish a project, like there's 1,000 other projects that have been started that have never been finished. And so I think that's always better than, you know, giving up before.
Yeah. And help me out here, because I'm not super well versed in like how does a show exactly get greenlit, and how do you guys like get the go ahead to do it? Did you guys wrote it, and then did you guys go through like a pitch process, or what was it like for this show specifically? I know every show is very different, and it's a mystical realm of you know, industry stuff, but how was it? What was the process like specifically for you?
So the process actually started before I got pulled onto the project.
Okay.
And so it had been pitched, it had been picked up, and then we were in the phase of like getting the scripts greenlit. So I remember there was a part where it had been picked up. It was like, okay, we're going to do 10 episodes. Like, let's just start writing, because we don't know when things are going to be due. And so we were writing them with like no deadlines, and we were like, okay, great, this is fine. We're just, hanging out writing. And then I think midway through, it was like, okay, cool, everything is due in a month, and that's your final draft, and like you need to have everything ready. And we were like, okay, great. And so then our weekly meetings turned into daily meetings, turned into nightly meetings, turned into early morning meetings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it really depends. I mean, like with a big show like G&G, I know like writing rooms can take up to like 8 months before you even start production. So it's really cool to see how there's so many different ways to kind of go about the process. A lot of people have like a full script completely done, and then that script will be the one that's picked up, and then you don't really have to do major edits except for like, what the network asks for, like fitting it to the person you hire and things like that. So it's kind of cool because the script is never finished really, and even when you like get on set and you perform, let's say like the actors decided to change a line, or like they didn't say a line, that's like completely like changed the scene now, which can be like for the better or for the worse. And it's really cool to see how it never stops changing. And like even in the editing process, like scenes can change as well, because the energy like on set might not be what the energy that was caught through the lens looks like. So film is really cool in the way that, everything can kind of keep changing, and you're never really stuck with like one product until you're stuck with the product.
Mm-hmm. And how did you navigate wearing so many different hats on set? Like, you're not just an actor, you were also like doing 5 million other things. Like, how do you wrap your brain around that? Like, what was that day to day like?
I mean, like, I didn't really sleep a lot. So
I can imagine.
Like, don't suggest that part to anybody. Definitely get your sleep, because it was exhausting. I don't know. I think there was a moment when we started and we all kind of sat down, and it was like, look, we've been given this opportunity. We don't know if this opportunity will ever come up again in the near future. So let's just really give it our all and kind of see what comes of it. And when we did that, I was like, all right, like the next month of my life is going to be live, sleep, breathing this project, because after the month it's done, like you don't have the money to like reshoot things or like rewrite things. So we really just put in our all the days that we had, and I did not sleep a lot, and my boyfriend definitely took care of me a lot. He would like come home and like have a plate of food ready for me, and I was like, thank you so much. So, it takes a village.
Did it feel afterwards, like once the show was finished and once it was airing, did you feel that sense of gratification though? Did you feel like it was very much worth it? Did you get that?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. We had like a little premiere in Toronto, and it was like full, which was wonderful. We did it at a theater, and to see like so many of our friends and family and like just people in the industry coming to see it and just like supporting us was just absolutely worth like everything. Because you sit with this project for how many months, and you don't really know what it looks like because you've seen every single freaking version that ever existed. And so once you finally see the final product, you're also thinking about all those other versions and everything that it took to get that scene, whereas people who are watching it for the first time are, just like being introduced to this world. So it was really wonderful to sit with people who hadn't seen it at all and kind of like get their understanding of the show and just like see their reaction, and it was so wonderful.
I love that. So you mentioned, you worked on really big, huge projects like Ginny and Georgia, and then some smaller, more low-key ones. Like, is there what are the main differences that you notice in working in those different kinds of environments? Like, is there one that you prefer? Like, what are the differences in that?
Well, I mean, the biggest difference is money. So that's definitely huge. But honestly, like, I think about this a lot because I love working on indies, because usually like the crew is a lot smaller and the cast is a lot smaller. So over the course of like the month, the 2 months, whatever, however long your shoot is, you really get to know the people that you're working with. And I just find it a lot easier on indies to do that. But then at the same time, I was thinking about that with Ginny and Georgia, and like I love everybody on that show, and like our crew is amazing, and like we would like goof off with like the camera crew, or like goof off with like the grips and like the ADs. So it really just kind of is, you get out of it what you put in. And I think if you put in like developing relationships with people that you're going to be working with for like months on end, you get the return of like lovely work friendships, you know what I mean? And like you get that camaraderie, and you can have that camaraderie anywhere and like in any sort of like project that you're working on, as long as you're open to that and as long as you put in the effort to kind of facilitate that. So yeah,
I love that. Is like working behind the scenes, is that something that you've always kind of intended for yourself or wanted to do for yourself, or is that just something that ended up happening like as you like met these people and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, I never really saw myself working behind the camera for sure. I definitely thought I was just going to do acting. I've always wanted to write, so writing was something I was interested in, but I never, like, I didn't know how to get into it. I didn't know what it required. So it was really nice to have that experience, because I feel like it kind of solidified a little bit of confidence in me of like, yeah, wait, I can do this. And like, ta-da, like I did do this. So other than writing, like I never expected myself to like direct. That honestly was just kind of one of those things where I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then I did it, and I was like, oh, this is a whole other art of like being on a set. And it was like so cool to like set up shots and set up frames and kind of, you know, like talk with actors and like get emotions out of them that I like wanted, because I think being an actor, talking to actors makes it a whole lot easier, because you know what kind of words work with actors, like the buzzwords that kind of like can get things out of them. And so it was really cool to kind of have that experience, because I could see what was happening and then be able to actually like articulate what I wanted.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So what does your 2023 look like? I mean, I know you started the year off with a huge bang. So do you have other projects in the works currently? Like what are you focusing on in 2023?
2023 is 2023 and me. So I'm definitely focusing on myself.
Snap.
You know, we love self-care. We love having 3 meals a day. We're going back to the basics.
Yeah, sometimes that's what you need to, yeah.
Oh, for sure. So I really am trying to focus on myself. I'm hopefully going to go and travel a little bit more. We'll see. Yes. Life experiences always help with, you know, acting and also just like being a well-rounded human being. I love traveling. I will always like support traveling for anybody. I think it's like something we all should do. I think, you know, immersing yourself in like a different part of the world is just so important for perspective. And then in terms of projects, I'm hopefully going to write a little ditty and finish it by 2023. That's my goal. I'm going to have a finished product at the end of the year. So like check back 2024 and we'll see if it happens. But yeah, there's a few projects that I worked on last year that hopefully they'll be coming out soon, but I don't know much about them in terms of like what the distribution process looks like. So we'll see. We'll see when they come out.
Yeah, I mean, it's always unpredictable. I feel like that I can only imagine it's kind of tough to deal with the unpredictability of the entertainment industry. And I can understand how, you know, taking care of yourself might kind of fall by the wayside when, you know, you have so little control over these things. And so it's nice to hear that you're reclaiming that for yourself and taking the time to really.
We're trying. I bought a planner. Haven't used it yet, but I bought one. So
step 1, baby steps. That's my major New Year's resolutions. I didn't even I have obviously specific goals in mind, but the one thing that I really emphasized for myself was little tiny baby steps. You don't need to run a mile right now. You can take baby steps, and baby steps you'll eventually have walked a mile with those baby steps. So here's to taking care of ourselves this year. Melina,
yes.
what is your New Year's resolutions?
Yeah,
I want to walk again.
Oh my god. She's been bedridden for most of 2023. She hurt herself pretty bad on a job.
Man.
So
I had no idea. Oh my gosh. I hope you are doing well and better than you were before.
I'm getting there. This morning I woke up, so I have like overstretched my ligaments in my left foot. And so she currently can't walk. But this morning I was like, "Oh my god, I can't, like the pain is gone." So I tried getting up. And I was like, "Oh my god, I can stand on both feet." And then I took a step and then the pain was back. And I was like, well, but tomorrow I'm going to the doc. So whoa. But no, besides that, I also want to travel. I have some plans. So far on my agenda is Amsterdam and London.
Nice.
What if I were to just come to Amsterdam and meet you, Melina? Fun fact: Melina and I have never set foot in the same room together. We've been best friends for 2
But
years.
I've seen her legs though. I've seen the legs.
We've only
It's
ever
basically
interacted
like being in
through,
the same room.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, virtual friendships.
Yeah.
I feel like we've all sort of know how to like now sustain friendships digitally.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
I had a
right?
friend that I like met once, and then we were only like good friends online. And then when everything was like opening up again, they were like, "Oh well, like let's hang out." And I was like, "In person?" I was like, "We're gonna see each other in person?" And I got
Is that
so
allowed?
nervous. I was like, "I've never seen you in person before." So I was like, okay, I immediately have to get over that because that's just a weird trait that I have. But yeah, I get it. Virtual friendships, man, they blossom and bloom.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly
Yeah.
how I feel about this girl right here. So
We used to spend like 24 hours on a Zoom call. I watch that girl sleep, and she sleeps a lot. But also time
You guys aren't on the
zones.
same time. Yeah, I was gonna say you guys aren't on the same time zone either.
like
Right?
No.
6 hours apart, 7
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
Depends on daylight savings or whatever.
Well, it's 10 p.m. for me right now.
Oh jeez.
Is that why
Yeah.
you have a pillow? Because you're gonna go to sleep? I'm kidding.
She's also
No, I
she's
have to
bedridden.
keep my leg up.
Yeah,
poor thing.
that was a bad joke. I take
No,
it.
It's okay.
it's a solid. It's exactly the kind of joke that I would make to Melina. So,
It's okay.
fitting right in.
It's okay. It's okay. No, but
What's
Anyways.
on Chelsea? What's on your travel bucket list for this year? Do you have ideas?
Oh yes, always. I mean, we'll see what happens. My like forever goals are like I really want to go to Azores in Portugal. I really want to go to New Zealand.
Oh, New Zealand.
And
That's my number one.
yeah, right? But it's like one of those places where it's so far away you have to just like go and like be there for forever. So we'll see. We'll see if that one happens. And then I'm really hoping to go to the Philippines, which is where my mom's from.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
yeah, we'll see.
Have you been there before? Or
I've been like once, but I was a wee little baby.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't count.
oh, I love that.
Yeah.
My sister just came back from Portugal, and the envy is immense. And now she literally just left. I dropped her off at the airport yesterday. She's going off to Central America for like 3 months, so she's living her best life.
I was gonna say wanderlust, baby.
Yeah, really, truly.
Wow. That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah.
unpopular opinion, come visit me in Germany. Both of you.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get this girl to cross the ocean for me.
I think 2023 is the year that it's gonna happen.
I was gonna say,
guys.
did you hear that sigh? I don't know if it's gonna happen. Okay, wait. Best way to fly into Europe, which I mean, it might not be, but like this is the way that I do it. Is like you take Aer Lingus. This is not sponsored. You take Aer Lingus into Dublin, and then you transfer from Dublin to like.
Wait, it's crazy that you say that because I have a friend who another like long distance friend who lives in Ireland, and I was literally talking to her about that. I was like, why is the only cheap flight to Europe through Ireland? And I was like, I guess it makes sense for me to just fly to Ireland and then go wherever else I need to.
No, it's like literally like I went a few years ago. I had to go to Hungary for like a dragon boating competition, and we like that's how we did it. We like flew from Toronto to Dublin, flew from Dublin to Frankfurt, I think, or maybe that was on the way back, and then from Frankfurt to Budapest, and then we had to take a train. Like it was an insane trip, but like it was definitely the most fun. And then on the way back, it was like 3 separate flights that we had booked. And so, because we all separated, and so I was in Paris and I had to take a train back to Frankfurt to then meet up with them to take an isolated flight to Dublin to then wait a day and then take another isolated flight to Toronto.
It's like freaking Amazing Race over here.
Yeah, this is called trying to save as much money as you can.
Budget traveling. Wait, sorry. Can I go back and ask, what is dragon boat racing?
We need to talk about it.
I think we might have done this on the last podcast, but dragon boat racing, which I think is hilarious that I am now the spokesperson for dragon boating, because I really did it for like, I mean, I still love it, and like I would go back and do it again. I just haven't done it in a few years. It's it's like a massive canoe that it's like a sport based out of like China, and it is like it has like ancient roots. So the idea is like the boat looks like a dragon, and so you have a drummer, and they're supposed to represent the like pace of this paddles, but it's also supposed to be like the heartbeat of the dragon. And then you have a steers person at the back who like steers the boat. But it's 20 people in a boat paddling at the exact same time. And it was used like originally, I think, for like ceremonies and like celebrations and stuff, and also like in the ocean, like more people are better than one. So like, you know, big boat. And then now it's like an internationally recognized competitive sport.
Wow.
So I did it mainly in university, because I signed up because I was like, oh, I need something to do, and it was like one of the first booths I saw, and then I didn't realize that I was signing up for the most competitive team at my university.
Oops.
And then at this point, I had already made friends with so many of the people I was training with. I was like, well, I have to make the team now because these are where all of my friends are. And then that's how I got into dragon boating.
Wow.
Yeah, but we won gold at the CCWCs in Hungary. So women's boat, 2K, won gold, and other golds, but I wasn't on those boats, so it doesn't matter.
Is this like the same time you were acting? I don't know what the timeline of when you like started acting professionally. So when?
Yeah, I
how
started
did this
acting
fall into-
professionally when I was 11. So yes,
Okay.
it was the timeline.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it like, oh, you started when you were 11 and you're like never looking back, or was it like, did you have moments where you like were unsure, or?
I mean, oh, for sure I had moments when I was unsure. I mean, the hard thing about acting is like, it's such an unregulated and inconsistent job that you can either work one job a year or you could work 5 in like 5 months. Like, it really, you have no control over when you work, what you work on. I mean, you have control over what you work on because you can always say no, but what I mean is like it's just, you have no control. And I think that was one of the things that I really had to learn how to work with, because it's so weird to kind of like make plans and then immediately have to cancel them because like you've got an audition, you've got a callback, you've booked a job. And so a lot of my life was kind of dealing with that and trying to figure out ways to, you know, still live a life, but then also work in like my passions in terms of like acting and stuff. So I remember there was a few times where, and like bless my parents' heart, we would like go camping or go on vacation like up north, and I would get an audition or like I'd get a callback, and my dad would drive us back into the city. Aww. And we would do the audition, and then we would either stay the night or then immediately drive back out to like whatever we were doing. And so I think they really played a part in kind of keeping my childhood as like normal as possible. And like, you know, like I did swimming and I did like other things like singing and like musical theater. So it was really nice to kind of have stability, because I think it's so easy to feel unstable. And like that was also one of the reasons why I wanted to go into university, because I really, like, as much as I love the arts, I also love like anthropology and I really wanted to study. And so having school and acting going on at the same time was challenging, and like I've had to like drop semesters or like deal with like other things. But at the end of the day, like I think it's so worth it to kind of fuel your other passions and fuel your other skills, because that's what makes you different, like in like that's what makes you different in general, but also like in the acting world. I think it really like can help you. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you like, in what ways do you think that going the choice to go to university like was like, are you like, do you think that like has helped you in the long term? Like, I know, because obviously since you've been working professionally since you're 11, you didn't necessarily need to go to university. Like, you could have chosen to just work in the industry, and like almost all people, like a lot of people in the industry do. So like, what was the, like, can you tell me just more about the reasoning behind why you wanted to do that and how it helped you along the way?
Oh, for sure. I mean, like I said, like I've always loved school, and so it was really important for me to go. I think there's also so many lessons that you learn from going to university that aren't necessarily like class-based. Like, you learn a lot of independence, you learn a lot of like using resources that are around you. Like, I think that it really helped develop me as a person, because I was like in charge of making sure I like handed my stuff in on time, you know, like the basics. And it definitely helped me. I mean, I was in a very like writing heavy program, so like having to write constantly all the time really just like drilled in certain skills for me. And then also the content that I was learning is like, I was in like society, culture, language, so it's like I'm learning a lot about other perspectives, other people, other ways that people learn, people understand things, like et cetera, et cetera. And I think that is just such a good thing to have as a person, to be willing to understand somebody else's perspective, or to see like the history that goes behind, you know, like somebody's like ideologies and things like that, and really just kind of having a little bit more patience for each other really came out of that. Because if you take people at face value and then you're like, oh, well, I'm deciding that I don't like you because of this one thing you said, or like because you're rubbing me the wrong way, it's like, well, why is it that that's happening? Like, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding that comes with English as a second language as well, that I don't think people are as patient for. And I think that when you grow up in like an immigrant household, you kind of have that innately, because, you know, like we spoke English at home, and like that's not like my mom's first language. And so you kind of learn growing up like, oh, like not everybody like knows the same languages. But I've definitely noticed in like schoolmates or like other people, like them just not having a grasp of like, they didn't say that weird, it's just that this is not their first language. And like, you really need to kind of have that like patience for that. And I think that, you know, going through school and kind of learning more about like cultures I was really interested in just gave me more of an appreciation for like different people.
Well, I love that. I mean, especially because English is neither me or Melina's first language. So I think broadening your horizons like that in college is definitely certainly the reason why I think I got more out of like the interpersonal like skills that you learn in college more than I did in any sort of like classroom per se. Obviously I tried to get as much out of that, but you're so right in that like the experience of going to college in and of itself, regardless of what you study, really does build your character and develop you as a person.
For sure.
Yeah. Melina, I feel like you're about to say something about how I always tease you for I tease you about the really cute ways you mispronounce some things, or when I ask you a question and you're just like, English isn't my first language. Sorry, I can't comment on that.
Sorry. On that note, my mom just entered to say goodnight.
Oh.
So hold on. I'm just gonna scream goodnight in German. Gute Nacht.
Oh.
I actually know that word. Sorry, I mean it's like so basic.
How did
no,
you
but
learn
so languages. So I do mispronounce, and this also depends on how late it is in the day for me. We've had moments where I would see something and would like excitedly tell them about what I just saw, and I would just look in confused faces. And it took me a sec to realize I was speaking in German. And so yeah, those are things that happen. But how do you know some German?
Oh, one of my sister's like best friends is German, and so she would come back being like Gute Nacht and like things like that. So I know like literally 3 words, so it's not obsessive at all. And I'm gonna stop talking about it now.
She's like, don't make me say anything else.
Did you? I'm curious, Chelsea. Did you grow up speaking Tagalog as well, or did you learn any growing up?
No, so my mom actually speaks Tagalog and like another dialect, and so because like my family is a mixed family, we just spoke English at home, and I kind of want to learn it because I, have that like. I don't know. It's a little sad to like not know it. So we'll see. Maybe that's a 2023/2024 goal.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I totally relate. Like I'm Korean, and I technically grew up speaking Korean inside the house, but it's like a level of Korean that is very elementary. You know how it is. Like being a third culture kid, like like. I could carry a conversation. I can talk in Korean, but I don't really have a full grasp of the language. If you like, I couldn't
write a university essay in Korean.
Exactly. And so, and there is for sure a part of me that's like, just something that's like not regret, but like just some like just a sense of like, like I don't know, just of wanting and feeling like And like I've like bought like Korean like workbooks and like tried to like watch a lot of Korean media, which like thankfully a lot of Korean media these days. Like thankfully it's like yeah. But like and like I've tried and kind of like made the effort to try and learn, but it's still definitely also on my bucket list. So I relate for sure. Yeah, that and also learning other languages, because I would for sure like to learn like I used to speak I lived in South America for a couple years when I was a kid, so I used to speak Spanish and I used to speak Portuguese, but like I was so young at the time that like even though I was fluent, it's completely gone now, completely gone. So but who knows? Maybe Melina can teach me Spanish. I think you're fluent. Melina's fluent in Spanish, right?
Un poquito.
Hey, that's still a baseline, you can learn the basics.
Melina can watch. You can like watch like Spanish shows without subtitles, right? Like I feel like that's a pretty good like sign of like fluency.
But I just understand like like if you ask me to translate one sentence they said, I could not tell you, but I know like the general idea of what they're talking about.
That's exactly kind of almost exactly like how my Korean is, where I'm like I got the vibes, I've got the overall message. Word for word translation, I don't think so.
How this works together, no.
No idea. Yeah,
but hey, Melina, you taught yourself English, so there we go.
Also, and I'm currently learning Swedish. Duolingo is your friend.
Right. Is Duolingo the viral little owl? Does Duolingo actually work for you, Melina? I mean, like, I feel like...
Jak tala svenska.
Okay, pop off.
I was gonna say, gotta go look up what that means.
No, so I said I speak Swedish, but pronunciation is ass, but I'm working on it. But like Duolingo, the thing about Duolingo is I really enjoy it, and I have a streak of like 68 days or something of learning Swedish. She dabbles. And I already have my favorite word in that language, which is similar to how I make everyone say the word squirrel in German. This is the Swedish equivalent, which is the Swedish word for turtle, which is sjopadan.
Cute. That's
like that is, I said this in an interview with someone whose like main language is Swedish, and they immediately corrected my pronunciation. I was like, whatever, I tried. And then I made him say the German word for squirrel, and I was like, Eichhörnchen.
Well, Melina, I told
that's not that bad.
Hey, Melina, I feel like it's different. I don't know if Chelsea, you feel the same way, but like having someone with a European accent like mispronounce or struggle to pronounce like things in other language is like really endearing and sweet to me. But when I myself when I struggle to mispronounce things in my American, like North American accent in front of other people, I feel so embarrassed. I feel like it just sounds wrong coming from my mouth. Like hearing Melina mispronounce other languages is cute, but when I try to say things like squirrel in German, that shit's embarrassing.
Oh, you're such a romanticizer.
I am.
You're so funny. I think I know what you mean. I think that's honestly just like because I feel the same way, and I feel like that's just because here we really like focus on English, and so there's not a lot of people speak, or it's not that speaking other languages isn't as like promoted. Like now it's different, but I feel like, you know, when you're in Europe in different countries, like if you're in Switzerland, everyone speaks like 7 languages. Like you speak like at least 2, 3, 17 maybe, because has like 100 languages on it, so you'll probably learn every single one of them. And I think that it's also just people aren't as willing to be like patient with it, and so I feel like that's what feeds the like anxiety and the nervousness, because I feel the same way. I'm so bad at like trying because I'm like, well, no one's gonna like care to like be nice to me about it, so I'm not gonna bother. Funny enough, my friends and I are doing like a cute little language night because we are trying to learn. I took French in high school, but like I don't remember a lot of it.
Same.
And so we're doing like a French Spanish night because I have a bunch of friends that are like that speak Spanish that are trying to learn French, or like some people are like dating people who speak Spanish, and so they want to like up their Spanish, and so we're gonna have a cute little like language night.
That's so cute. So you guys are just gonna just take a stab at like, are you guys gonna play games, or like what is it?
Heck if I know. This is as far as I've gotten with this plan. So if you have any ideas, shoot them over.
Play some games, maybe watch like TV. I feel like consuming media in other languages, I know for sure is like a huge.
Oh, for sure.
Like movies, listening to songs. I feel like like my sister was like telling me about like French artists that she's like recently discovered like on TikTok or something random that like is helping her sort of like get back in touch with like the French that she learned in high school, same as me. So yeah, that sounds so fun. I wish I could.
I'm excited. Maybe we'll like cook something. That's what I like. I love cooking, so maybe we'll do like empanadas or something. Or
I love that. I grew up on empanadas when I lived in South America, so for sure.
Filipinos also have empanadas too, so I also grew up eating empanadas. So
yeah, I love that, and I think that like food is like other than like media, like film and TV and stuff like that, food is like the number one like gateway into other like languages and cultures. So for sure, food for me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is the one thing I know how to say in Spanish. And it's really funny because apparently it's like a Bolivian saying, and I have a friend who's Bolivian, and she was like, how do you know this? And I literally went, Duolingo. But it's barriga llena, corazón contento, which means full stomach, happy heart.
Oh, I love that.
So I was like, cute. So yeah, now every time I eat, I'm like, yeah.
And I might not be fluent anymore, but I can still recognize good pronunciation, and your pronunciation's pretty top notch, I will say.
Thank you. Maybe next time we can do the interview in Spanish and see how well it goes.
2024, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna say like each gonna say
German, so you gotta take what you got.
We're each gonna say a sentence in Spanish, and then we're just gonna sit here.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Duolingo pulled up next.
Yeah, literally.
Me just going, ¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
Yeah, exactly. That's the extent of my Spanish currently. So
yeah.
Actually, funny enough, I think that I still feel like I pick up like little bits of Spanish. I was working at a summer camp last year, and there was a lot of Spanish speaking people's like staff there, and we were on a bus like going to like an offsite place, and the person behind me and the person next to me were like having like a short conversation in Spanish, and I was like, wait a second, I think I like raised my hand. I was like, I think I caught every single bit of that, and they're like, what did we say? And I told them what I thought, because they were talking about like getting paid, like their paycheck, and like how like he had a problem with the bank and how he had to go to the office to, sorry, like not the point. The point was that like I understood it, and so like I was like, wow, it's crazy what the human brain will retain after so many years. It's wild.
No, for
Yeah,
sure.
I feel like I understand more Spanish than I speak it. Cause
Yeah.
so at my work, I work at a photo studio, but we have a lot of people from all over the place, and we had these two women in once that they got like their ID pictures taken, and they were like speaking Spanish, and I told my colleague, I was like, I understand what they're talking about, and she was like, what are they talking about? And I was like, they're talking about us. They don't like us that much. And she was like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, they just said some rude words.
Okay, I've definitely been in that situation with like French, but then it's hard because it's like I don't understand that much, but I like can tell that like, like when you pick up the certain words and then you're like, wait a second, that's what I was talking about. And then you're just staring at them because you're like, well, I know you're obviously talking about me. I might not know what it is you're talking about me, but like, stop it. Yeah.
But you know what the best part is about not, because I hate when Germans have a German accent while speaking English. Like everyone else having a weird accent while like having an accent while speaking German, cute. But like a German accent while speaking English, I hate it. I hate it with a passion. And I trained very hard not to have one, and I think I'm okay. But I was in Amsterdam at like a convention, and there were these two girls in front of me speaking German. And so this is gonna completely expose me. It was a Teen Wolf convention. I was there to get an autograph from an actor. We don't talk about it. But I went there because I won this. No one listening to this cares, but I care. So we're gonna
I care.
listen
Keep
to me
going.
talk. Okay. So I was there. Tickets were like 100 euros, but I was there because I won a contest of recreating this picture from an actor. So he knew my face. We've interacted online before. So he was like at the table signing autographs. Like I had like 3 people in front of me and these 2 girls. And he stood up and was like, I'm so sorry, guys. I need to go pee. I'll be back very soon. And then he walked away, locked eyes with me, and was like, hi, Mel, and then went to go pee. And I was just standing there, like, looking to my friend in the other line. I was like, what the fuck just happened? And these girls in front of me going in German, like, oh my God, who does she think she is? And I was like, I know exactly what you're saying. But, and then I turned to another friend of mine and said in German something, like, completely ignoring them, and their faces just went so red, like, oh my God, she understood everything we said. And he talked to them for only like a minute because they couldn't really say stuff in English, and I talked to him for like 5-ish minutes until his like PA was like, okay, we need to carry on with the line, because we made conversation.
Snaps.
There we
Snaps.
freaking go. Oh my god.
So like, girl boss.
Slay. Absolute slay. I have to stop using the word slay, but that is.
This is good. We can use it for this.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
It's just seeped into my everyday vocabulary way too much.
It does that. It sneaks up on you.
Yeah, me answering everything with like period. Like I did this. Period.
Slay. I'm like, am I allowed to be 24 years old and like saying things like slay
I said yes.
in period? Okay, cool. Which like not to be like all interviewing and like bringing it back to like circling back, but that just like reminded me of how like Melina and I were like just like rewatching it, like the season 2, and just the way that like the writing is like able to like emulate what I think is like very authentically like teenage, because like I feel like there are so many TV shows nowadays, not to slander anybody, but like that like, you know, kind of try to emulate the sort of Gen Z language and just like and fall short in just making it very like cheesy and very like very stereotypical. But I feel like the because I have a 17-year-old little sister, so like I feel like the writing and just the conversations and of like these teenagers like truly feel teenagery, and like I love that, because like I just love that like it doesn't, not in a way that like mocks them or like belittles like the way that like teenagers talk nowadays, but like really just like portrays it super authentically. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Aw, thank you. No, I definitely feel that too. I think it's like a mix of, you know, like writing, and then I know that Sarah's had a bunch of conversations with us about like like especially in season 1, she was like, okay, what's the slang? Like, what slang are we missing? What's going on? And then it's also just really fun. I also have like a younger sibling, so it's also just been super fun to kind of be like, okay, so if you did this, how would you do it? And then basically just pretending to be my like little sister while I'm in high school is kind of my my go-to.
I'm so sorry. You cut out there for me. I didn't hear the last thing you said. What was the last,
I was
last
saying
sentence
that,
you
like,
said?
when I play Nora, there's certain parts of like the teenagerness that's just me pretending to be my little sister.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Art imitating life. Imitating
Yep,
life.
you know,
Art. Yeah. Well, I wish I could sit here and talk to you for like several more hours because it's just been such a fun conversation.
So nice to catch up with you guys again. Well, I mean, I know we just met, but same as it's been so lovely meeting you. I feel like I got travel tips from you. I got inspiration for the new year. I got fun insight into your shows. It's been such a wonderful conversation. I feel like we need to make this an annual thing. We're gonna check in 2024 on how our goals went for the year. We're gonna aim to do it in we're gonna aim to go multilingual with it. We'll see how far we got, or we'll get.
Yeah. Well, I wish you all the love and self-care in 2023.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You as well.
Hopefully, I mean, I always like to throw it out there, but hopefully, I know we're all manifesting more seasons of Ginny and Georgia, and so everybody,
watch it in the background.
Keep streaming. Keep talking about it, keep hyping everyone up. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, is there any parting words that you wanna leave for our wonderful listeners?
Take care of yourself in 2023, please, everybody. You know, we've been through a lot, so just focus on yourself, protect your peace. And yeah, thank you to everybody who watches this show because I think it's great, and then B, also tunes into this episode because I think we're great together.
Yeah.
And yeah, just thank you so much for having me. I think it's so nice to be able to talk with, you know, people who support people. So
yay.
And that's girl stuff.